What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Blank Canvas. I am Mr. No Show.
And I'm 72, the architect.
And today we are going to be talking about
Code switching.
that's right. But before we get into code switching, my main man here, 72, the architect, will give you some fine reading.
All right, it's from Ryan Holiday's book, the Daily Stoic, from page 118. It's titled "Observe Cause and Effect." And what he quotes Marcus Aurelius from Meditation 7.4 says, "Pay close attention in conversation to what is being said, to what follows from any action. In the action, immediately look for the target in words. Listen closely to what's being signaled." Now, Ryan goes on to describe the quote, and he gives his thoughts. He basically says, through the work of psychologist Albert Ellis, Stoicism has reached millions of people through what's known as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. As a form of therapy, CBT helps patients identify destructive patterns in their thoughts, behaviors, so that they can, over time, direct and influence them in more positive directions. Of course, Marcus Aurelius had no formal training in psychology, but his words here are important as any doctors. He's asking you to become to an observer of your own thoughts and the actions of those thoughts provoked. Where do they come from? What biases do they contain? Are they constructive or destructive? Do they cause you to make a mistake or engage in behavioral later you regret? Look at the patterns. Find where cause meets effect. Only when this is done can negative behavior patterns be broken. Only then can real life improvements be made. So the question of the day is, what can I pay closer attention to today? And
Mm.
I think that's very, very important for today's episode and what we're going to be talking about in code switching. Um, First of all, Mr. No Show, what do you think code switching is, and what do you find it as defined?
So when I heard the word or the term code switching, I didn't know what it was. I was kind of oblivious to the understanding of what it meant. Now that I see that it holds a perspective in which I wasn't aware of, it's kind of crazy that people assume that they're code switching simply because they do it in front of their boss or they do it in front of their family, they do it in front of whoever it may be is personal, and they do it so easily that they forget that they're even doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
am I
Yeah.
code switching right now? Do I present myself as somebody who likes to code switch? Now, code switching can mean a lot for different people. It's just how you perceive it. But for the main understanding of this show, we kind of want to boil down the overview and the perception given with code switching. How about you? How do you feel code switching relates to you?
To me, code switching constantly refers to the pivots you use in your language. Either you're going to fit in with people or you're trying to persuade people. And it can be as done, I think, either with bilingual, trilingual, or multilingual people. Well, say like when you get somebody from comes from another country and they learn English, you
Mhm.
may be saying the right words, but you may not be meaning well. The message may not be received well, or it confusing, and it happens all the time. What my question is, how much does it matter to you in your daily life, that people are code switching and casual conversations to business conversations?
I think people do it regardless, and they hate on everyone else for doing it. Like for instance, I'd experienced going into a job interview, right? They
Hmm.
don't want me, they perceive me as this individual where if I speak how I would speak to my friends, it could be deemed as unemployable, right? They don't want me to come up in here and saying like, "Man, f this is crazy, man." They don't want me to say this way of my personality that they want to either hire or fire. They want to see somebody who's going to shut up and work, depending on the job, right? They don't
Right.
want you to speak out too well and be too boisterous about your opinions. So the crazy thing is, code switching, is it needed? Do you
I don't
feel that it needed?
I don't think it is. I think well, no, I believe it's not needed. There are many things that we say that are making people very uncomfortable. And the constant pivoting of what we say changes the identity of people. Like you and I, like, okay, if we
Mhm.
use different aspects of how we look at each other, right?
Mhm.
Like some people could use um they could use the point of yo, we speak the same, we speak English, but you're from the South and I'm from Cali. Even though you lived here, I've been here my whole life. Sometimes we speak in such a different way that it's like, well, wait, what did you say? What did you mean? Well, I knew what I meant. Why do you not get what I'm saying? Even though we're speaking exactly the same English, same defined words, but we take how we perform the words either to be sly or to be direct, in my opinion.
And, it's crazy. I really do strongly feel that we need it because when you have um, an employee, let's say you open a business, right? You want to present your business in an establishing way that gets customers coming in. For instance, let's say I have my own pizza place, right? How
Mhm,
would I feel if I hired somebody to come work for me and they have, you know, tattoos all over their face,
mhm.
and they speak in a way that's so, demeaning to others? Like, no, I don't want you to be behind my brand speaking the way you do. So I feel that there are ways that code switching brings a value to the world. For instance, if I say, "Hey, yo, Jay, blank canvas, this is what it's gonna look like," and you're like, "Nah, man, it should look like this." All right, well, let's put it on paper and see how it looks, and then when we start breaking it down, oh
Mhm.
wow, this isn't who I am. I can't. I don't talk like this. This is not my personality. It's not gonna work for me. So you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
kind of like even if I go to a radio station, like, hey, we heard your show. We like your cadence. We want to know if you would be a part of this station. It's like, well, who funds you? Who promotes you? Because the way that I speak, I don't know if those promotions will still be around. So it's as if people are also willing to sell themselves to be in a world where code switching is profitable.
Ho, 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 ho. And it is. It constantly is profitable because, like, how many times will a company say, "We're here for you. We're here for your needs," and really, it's the bottom line dollar. Like, say, like you take a brand maybe like Kaiser or Sutter Gold or like some kind of medical association, right? And they say that they're out to care for you, but then you get that bill or you get, well, no, we have to refer you to a specialist. We have to go to this special department, and your insurance may not cover it. So
Mhm.
it really can get sticky, but because of the language, that the written language, and then the language they're speaking to you, or you say like you go into a grocery store and they said they had a sale, right? You
Mhm.
received an internet ad, and it's like, well, you said you were going to have for $5, like get 7 head of corn, for 5 head. I'm just using this example. It's not that it's true, but then you find out, you get there, it was gone in 2 minutes because they didn't have much, but they just wanted you to come into the store. That's kind of like code switching because it's deceptive, and the advertisement says they would
Mhm.
have availability of it, but the reality is that it's not available.
Right, right.
It's just to get you in the door. That's it, you know.
And deception is a strong word you said there. And that's why when I look into how valuable people are to each other, it's clear to see that we are changing who we are for any circumstances that we come across. And I think that's why it's so important that we do code switch. I mean, I done worked in the warehouses, I done worked in cleaning carpet, I done worked in selling cars, I done worked in doing all this extra stuff. So my thing is, when I want to sell something, what do I got to do to sell something? What do I have to do to make a pitch that much more valid? And walking into a white woman's home or white man's home, that's like, oh shit, here's a darkie. I don't know what they're
Oh
thinking,
shit.
right?
Oh
I,
no.
I don't I don't know what they're thinking. So it's like, oh, there's a darkie. So all right. Well, hello, sir. How are you doing today? Like, I have to present myself as a non-threat versus how many, for instance, let me just take it back real quick. When I was trained to be in this company for doing carpet cleaning, my trainer wasn't another black guy, or it wasn't a Spanish guy or an Asian guy. It was a white gentleman. And my approach to how I was selling was being shown from this individual. It wasn't shown from one of my people, because look, if I was sitting there talking to the guy that actually got me the job, he would have trained me totally different, right? He would have trained me the way that I would have felt comfortable being trained in. But instead, the first time they put me in the vehicle with this gentleman, they took me to one of the highest grossing areas of the counties, and they call it the Golden Triangle. And when I was in that Golden Triangle, there were nothing but $1 million homes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, I got to present myself in a way that these people feel comfortable with me walking into the $1 million homes versus somebody who has, $200,000 home or less. So it's like my demeanor was, I need to be approachable. I need to be a non-threat. I need to be somebody that they could be comfortable around. So I had to code switch in order to keep and maintain that level of employment, which I find to be needed but not needed at the same time, because I quit that job in line of I didn't feel like myself. I could
Mm.
sell anybody anything at that point, but I didn't feel like myself. If you kind of catch my drift.
Right. And is so here's one thing that I would have to, and this is kind of this is controversial. Should we be using the color of our skin to code switch?
And what in what ways do you mean?
Like or excuse me, let me rephrase that. Do we code switch for identity of our color of our skin to communicate with different people?
I think a lot of us do, yeah.
And
A lot of
and
us do.
are we really getting anything out of it? Because I think that we're just so divided so many times. Like your skills in the digital world are far beyond mine. And I appreciate that because I learn from you all the time. My skills may be in the written word and legal, and I understand critical thinking in a way that you don't. And so being able to, like, even like reading the Daily Stoic and interpreting, age old words and a modern twist from a writer, and then, also my view of what those things could mean, not maybe what they, so I leave the room for interpretation open for anyone to appreciate. And if people have questions, feel free to ask me a question. So
Mhm.
if we're not really taking advantage of those opportunities, and we're like, I've heard it's constantly, oh, it's because it's so easy because you're white. The way that I speak is not the way that most Mexican men speak. It's not. I mean, it depends on how you grew up. Like if you grew up across the border and you have an accent, there might be some disparaging understanding of
Mhm.
what you see or what they see and what I am. So you know what I'm saying? And if we keep doing that, we miss out on, can you slow that down or can you restate that? I didn't get what you said. No one likes to have to restate what they said. So they'll just say, "Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah,
Right.
sure. It's okay."
Right. So now we're in a battle of self proclamation and learning this integrity aspect of it all, because there's things that you disseminate different than I do, and there's things that I understand that most people would want to learn, and then there's other people out there that have that same potential in that world where we want to be a part of, and we will have to pay to get it. A lot of our content right now is free, and it's for people out there to get the information they need when they rise and wake up, and knowing that we are here to give such a broad view and a very vast scope of things. It's important that people are able to disseminate this information themselves. So we don't enforce this idea. We don't, you know, create that world where people want to be like, oh man, I don't know about these people because they keep forcing this down my throat. We're here today to actually think about who we are as people. And if I have to deal with that, that's a problem because I should know who I am.
And that also involves another term that we hear a lot is gaslighting, right? Like, how often is gaslighting a form of conversation where we don't get what is really what we're doing? Like it can be crazy, like like when people say, "Well, you meant this, but you're telling me something else, and now you're making me doubt what I'm even feeling or saying."
Hmm.
I don't get you, bro. Like, come on, get with the program. Like, why don't you sit? And how many people you've heard in your casual conversations? I like you, no show. You just say it real, you speak it real. But then when you talk to them and they're vague, you're like, I don't get what you're coming at. You say you like it straight, but you're talking in code. You don't want to be like labeled something, or you don't want to be associated with a possible negative identity. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. And like I said, it's the context of how we as individuals are being carried out. I can walk around all day as I am. You know,
Mhm.
people gonna love me or hate me. I don't care. But when I step foot in that business attire, that outfit, that work garment, that extra skin, yo, I'm a whole different character. And that's crazy that I gotta be that. That's why people who end up having their own personal business are happy with themselves, even though they put more work in. You know, they got to do things at a point where, hey, I am looking at my world in their eyes versus my eyes in my eyes only. And that's where I sit with this entirety of it. You know, I want to be comfortable knowing who I am. I want to be accepting to my own decisions and my own viewpoints. The problem that I'll have to have is is with the children. You know, I got to change my voice with the kids because I don't want to talk too crazy like in front of them. So now I'm looking at, wow, wait a minute, I need to switch this up because if I carry on just thinking that I'm Mr. Two Shoes, that they don't see a bad side of me. Nah, they're gonna get the bad daddy, the good daddy. They're gonna get the happy daddy, the sad daddy. They're gonna see all of my weaknesses and my strengths because I
Mhm.
don't want to hold anything from them. And I should do the same to the people in my world because they will criticize you as quick as they can sneeze holding salt and pepper in their hands. And the way that we look at my world, your world, is all perceptive. So when I understand that you're going to come to my door, knock, knock, who's there? 72. 72 to who? 72 the architect here to sell you. You know, it's going to be like, all right, what is this dude going to sell me today? What does he want me to understand? Okay, all right. This is not something I want to listen to. Is it something I want to listen to? Who is he? How is he talking to me? Is he adding extra emphasis? I mean, I've had white salesmen try to speak that talk to me. Like, just speak to me, man. Like,
Mhm.
be you. Don't pretend to be something that you're not. Just be you. And that's why I hate going to car sales lots, man. I just feel like there's so many
Well,
lot
even
lizards.
I mean, how often in slang is it happening? Like, someone was talking to me the other day and they said a really controversial racial slang to me. And they said to me, "You're speaking in the language of being like a Jew." And I'm like, "Why are you telling me that?
What?
Where do you get with that? I respect all people, but why are you associating are you are you I had to stop him. I said, "Are you being prejudiced right now? Did someone do you wrong from that culture? Are you stuck in a politics that jades your vision?" And because don't bring that to my doorstep. Don't bring it to my porch. Get off of it, you know? And um and when you really feel about it, you got to think about, what does it mean to us and what does it mean to them? And so what was he really trying to say? I don't understand you because way you speak is above my intellectual level. Is that what you're saying? You know, that could be strongly and very well present.
Right. Right. And that's one of the biggest problems that we as like Shonda said, a culture, right?
Hmm.
Um, different ways of growing up and learning things differently is one of the most strongest points that I've saw today. And I think, personal opinion. So for those who are with us, this is blank canvas. You can paint your depictions however you see fit. But the most important thing is there are reasons that we all see things differently. There are people who are in our groups that are not in our groups. There are people who are riding with us that will allow us to see things differently. But it's the whole ideal that when I get in contact with somebody who's foreign to me, how am I going to react to that individual? Am I going to demean them, especially if they speak in Spanish and I talk slower? I was like, wait a minute, do you understand the words that's coming out of my mouth? You know, and I think it's almost a game the way we have to watch ourselves. And I'm tired of playing games, bro.
Yeah. Cybershots, welcome into the show. Good to
What's
see you,
up,
my
bro?
friend.
Hey, what's going on? Had a little technical difficulties, but I'm here. What's up?
All
What's
right.
going on?
Nice, nice,
Welcome
nice.
back, bro.
Yeah. So the question has to go out to you, Cyber. Do you know what code switching is, and what do you define it as?
Well, from what I'm gathering from the show so far, man, it's like you portray yourself one way, but in a certain situation, you might act another way. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Right.
Mhm.
And how do we do it casually? How do we, like, do you ever notice that sometimes, like, when you speak to someone from the South and you notice that they're starting to speak with a little twang, like,
Southern
y'all,
draw.
yeah, yeah, y'all know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, son. We got this.
It's like don't even try it.
And the funny part is like, I mean, I do it within my own culture because I don't have a Spanish accent at all. And they can tell right away, like when I start speaking Spanish, they're like, yeah, I know you're white. Like, what am
I
I?
mean, but that's a nitpick. You know what I'm saying? That's something.
But people do that. Those little nitpicks
Yeah, that's what I'm
start
saying. Like
interfering
it's
in your perception.
and it eats you. That's what I'm saying. So let's say you're mixed, right? Um, Cybershot grew up all the way across the world and other parts of the world. I've only been born in America and raised in different parts of America. So it's like when I walk around, when I move, cultural shock, right? When you
Hmm.
see different countries' ways of living and how they communicate with each other, it's like you pick up those traits the longer you're in that area,
Hmm.
And I saw this one TikTok. Gentleman was literally describing how he starts when he moved to Wisconsin the first day he moved, and then the next week he moved, then the next month, then the next year. Like the transformation from when he first arrived was still who he was, but then he shifted who he became. And it's almost as if our our neighborhoods, our humanity, um, when we mix those together, it seems as if we're building a new persona, and people will pick up that persona like that's not the same guy I met 10 years ago. Something's different about him now. Something's unique. Okay. And the whole time you feeling like nothing's changed. You just feel more alert, more, active in the things that you've been doing. So it's like, they see me as different. Look, do I feel different? Am I
Yeah, you
saying
are
things
different with
different?
that 49er hat on.
I mean, don't be mad when actually it's called sexy fucker. So don't get it twisted.
Oh,
You know
oh
what I mean?
my.
You know,
But hey, that's a form that's a
strong
code switch
42.
right there.
Code
Okay,
switching,
okay.
baby.
I just
Strong.
helped you. I just pivoted out of the attention of a serious to comedy. That is a code switch,
I mean,
literally
it's
in
it's
live
needed. It's
conversation.
needed. It's needed because people understand that this is an emblem, right?
Yeah.
It's a brand, and when people walk around wearing that brand, you people gonna code switch on you, like, oh, you're a 49er fan, huh? Hmm. I
Bang
must
bang
fight you.
Niner gang, huh?
And,
And
and
Yeah.
perceptions,
some,
man.
yeah, sometimes it's involuntary. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go back from Florida, go to North Carolina, my Southern
Mhm.
draw kicks in. I
The
mean,
Carolina. And
I
going down to Carolina.
Carolina might.
See,
I mean,
see.
it's involuntary. As soon as I cross
You know,
the
yeah,
territorial,
unconsciously we don't do it. Yeah, or we do it
yeah,
and we just like, what?
But we feel happy with knowing that we're expressing ourselves because of the area we're in. You know, I can when I put on, like I said, when I was a salesman, I put on that face. You know, when Cyber wakes up in the morning and gets that 9 to 5 in, he puts on that face. 72. When you hop in that car, go to your destination, you put on your. You see, we all do this,
You
and
put
it's
on
like
that armor, I call it. You
that
have to
ain't
put
that ain't
on
the
that
armor.
armor and be
This is
ready.
armor right now. When you're home, chilling
Yeah.
with your family, that's the armor. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
no
And
doubt, no
and
doubt.
here's a big thing.
Code
Like,
switch.
do you code switch with your own partner, with your wife?
Damn.
Do you
Hold on.
realize, do you do it with them? Because what we relay to them also sometimes it makes you
Wow.
pivot. Like, you know what? I can't always say what I think because I can anticipate from experience what they think.
Hmm. I don't know. I've always been that tell it how it is. My wife always, I can't stand you. It was like, why? Cause I tell you what it is and not floof you around. What is it? No, you're just so mean. That's exactly what the truth is. Because when you accept things that aren't the way you're used to, it's going to come off as an attack. It's going to come off as mean. So yeah, I don't code switch with my woman. You know, after you said, I had to think about it. I was like, wait a minute. I'm
Just
always
for that reaction, you had to think about it. I think you
yeah.
do.
No,
You're
no,
like, wait a minute.
because I think
Because
I have to
that just
really think
that's a code
about it.
switch right there. That's like, okay, wait, let me really
No, that's
recheck.
just the actual epiphany. That ain't a code switch. That's me thinking like, holy shit, I might, But after realizing, I find when I'm with her, I still am who I am, even in public. I talk my shit. I'm as open as honest as I want to be, and I don't want to hold punches because my life is so short. If I hold my punches, then I'm misleading in a sense in my own perception. So, if you guys code switch with your wife, that's probably
I'm
okay.
openly gonna admit sometimes I do.
Why?
I'm not gonna deny because what comes out if I'm cornered and I'm questioned about something I'm not ready to answer,
Okay.
oh, you're hiding, you're lying to me, right? And it's like, wait a
Mm,
minute, I'm looking at your emotional like dialogue with me. If you're coming at me angry, are you going to be able to listen to me?
right.
That's the
Right.
key. I think in a lot of couples, a lot of families out there, are you in an emotional space where you can receive each other? And that's where the code switching, it's like, okay, let me turn the level on. How far does the filter go up?
Mm,
Or no filter, you're getting it for what it is, and that's it. And there are times you have to just, no, I have to be direct with you. I don't like your behavior. Or, you know what? You did such a good job. I'm proud of you. I'm happy with this. I don't need extra. When people are kind of like second guessing, like, baby, was this really good enough? Do I look good? You're
nah, that
asking
shit's
for,
ugly as hell. Take it off.
Yeah, no doubt.
but see, no
I'm gonna
man
say,
wants to do that, right? No
yeah,
nah,
one.
nah.
I'm gonna
Go
say
ahead,
with me.
Cyber.
I'm gonna say with me. To be honest with you, it's about 70%. You got to feel the energy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's about
Mm,
70%. Like, hold up, she is not in a good mood. This one three
Oh.
second answer is going to turn into a 3 hour conversation.
But see, if
I
you
got
you
to
mm,
get
balance it
passive
out.
with that conversation, if they sense that you're being deceptive, even just in the slightest, it's like a being an investigator from Law and Order. Like,
If
did you kill the cat? Did you really kill the cat today? No, I swear I didn't run over it. Because why is there tread marks on his belly and it's all guts all split? Well, no, it wasn't me. That's your car. That's not mine. Or did you take the trash out today? Wait, did I? I need to go check. Didn't I tell you? Well, no, you didn't. You thought you did. You meant it.
mm. Wow. So when code switching interferes with our daily interactions, so for those who are watching and listening, ask yourself: are you code switching with the people that you love, even your kids, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, your neighbors? Are you code switching with the employees you work with? Are you code switching in your life? And if so, have you defined what attributes you are using to code switch? Could it be that you're going into your job to put on a face? Could it be that you're interacting with a complete stranger who's talking to you and out of nowhere and you just want to change your demeanor? Or you see a bunch of people you relate to, but the people that you're with don't relate to them. So you try to balance the friends that you have with the friends that you've just met and trying to keep that personality factor about you. Because how many times have we interacted with a group of friends that we then introduce to a new set of friends, and the vibe isn't always the same? Just like that one, I don't really like that guy, or I don't like that girl. It's like, wait a minute, that's a piece of me. So it's like, in a sense, you're not really okay with who I am because I agree with that person. So if I speak to people who are flat earthers and I get on a show with people who are globers or round earthers,
Uh-oh.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, hold on, we don't have to talk about the points, but the understanding
No, I
is
get it. I get it.
I'm in the parallel, I'm the actual pivot between the seesaw. One side goes up, the other goes down, but I'm still neutral. It's like, man, am I going to code switch? I'm gonna have to pick a side, and they're gonna say, man, look, man, you didn't change, man. You done changed on me. So when I look at that, it's like, is code switching going to be more than just a need? How to be uniquely against the world. And also, what bias does it create?
I think it creates a lot of bias, honestly. All the time.
Mm.
Like, I have no filter of what I say, and it can be extremely toxic and emotional, or it can be just direct, straight to the point. And I've had reactions, personal and associated, where people just came up to me and said, I don't like what you said. I
Wow.
don't like who you are. I think you're just a so and so. And you're like, you're only saying that because the style of business we're doing that. But if you got to know me, if I actually gave you a personal view, would you still think the same? Oh, I know. I can tell what kind of person you are. All right. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. And people do that with zodiacs too. Like,
Oh,
I,
hey, you Capricorns, you Sagittarius. Oh, I already know how you are, bro.
right, right.
You're
Never
like,
spent.
wait, where's my magic 8 ball? Is this
Might as
person for
well.
real?
They never
Not
even had a
likely.
10-minute conversation with you, but by your zodiac sign, they know who you are, your personality, how are you going to react.
That's crazy.
No, put me back now, man. Put me back now.
Nah, it's your night, bro. It's your night. You're the
Time to shine. Don't code switch on us, bro.
Oh
Hey.
man, see, I tried.
Hey, you
And
join the
sometimes
team.
when you try
Sometimes you
to,
got to play quarterback while me and Curtis are playing guard.
okay, that's
Hey,
cool. But nah, sometimes when you try to code switch, like I said, sometimes it's involuntary. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on how you react on the situation. Like I said about going into the 3 hour conversation versus a 3 second answer. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to react not off of emotion, but off of strategy. Look, I can't even talk. Off of strategy. You know what I'm saying? And think about what you're going to say before you say it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you just spit it off, right? And it might come out the wrong way. Like, oh man, I meant to make a point, but instead I came out sideways. You know what I'm saying?
Or you made a point and they twisted it so much that it's just like it has nothing. What their response to you has nothing to do with what it is.
And
You
it
know.
also depends on what type of person you're talking to. If you're talking to someone who is not listening, but they hear what you say and dissect each and every word that you're saying and try to flip it around and use it against you versus listening to what you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Conversation versus comprehension.
wow. That's dope.
Oh,
Yeah. Conversations versus comprehension.
yeah, that's kind of
Look,
dangerous, my friend.
yeah,
Dangerous.
you treading on hot coals there, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can roll with that. It might ruin my reputation.
See, and that's why I find that we all need to find that balance with ourselves, because I can sit here and, people like, wait a minute, you do a show with these people? It's like, yeah, come by, step through, show some love. Like,
Or how
but
many people
I
called you a
don't like,
sellout?
but I don't like this person because of this, that, and the third. I was like, well, if you come to the show and actually give it a listen, you might have a different perspective. And this is not saying to blink canvas. This is just saying in hypothetical terms because you didn't see people step on panels in Clubhouse. You didn't see how they interacted with one another. You didn't see it get wild and crazy. So when you really put into a scope of how people um, are looking through the glass, it's almost as if we are getting that obscure vision of it all. Like we think we know. And I've been in so many different conversations with women, and they know the zodiac sign that I am, or they ask, and they never get it on the point. Like, no show, you must be a Scorpio, right? It's like, why would you think I'm a Scorpio? What energy am I giving off that makes you think? Or better yet, I could be a Cancer. So when you have these put into perspective, people already labeled you. There's
I tell people, don't code me. Do not code me. Do
do
not
not code me.
classify me. You don't know what my life is. I can throw you off. I'm so good with my words. I can throw you off so very easily. And like I've had people, they guess like, you're a Sagittarius, aren't you? No,
Mm,
I really can tell you're a Scorpio. And I'm like,
well,
really?
they're
Keep
wrong.
shaking that 8 ball until I give you an answer. Signs point yes. Okay.
And the yes leads to a cliff that has spikes at the bottom. So
I
go
got
ahead.
you. No, the other interesting ones, like we even talked about it one time, like for example, Myers-Briggs test, where people use the personality test,
Mm,
right? And you see that people base their decision of how they appreciate and accept you based on your Myers-Briggs identity. And the sinister thing about it is that when employment comes into play, there are companies that require you to take that test before you do go any further in the process because they want to know that what those identities, those letters that they identify as, are you going to fall in line with their narrative?
right.
Because they don't want, and why they do it is the coding is so they don't have to go through a constant switching of their personnel. So you want
Mm,
retention and value. And so if you're not talking the same way and not meaning in the same mindset, you're a threat to my business.
wow.
And at the
Wow.
same standpoint, you can take that test 3 different times and get 3 different results. And are you going to subscribe to what they're saying you are? You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
mm.
Hmm. Yeah, because like if you look at like I'm very intelligent, I look at the style of the question and I can say, yeah, I see what certain outcomes are going to come from this particular answer. This is a hint. And so now as I classify it, I've identified and I've told companies no, I refuse to take the exam.
Well, see,
It's
you,
it's
you
an
break
it's an
things down.
employment biased. Sorry, I am not going to
Yeah.
do it.
But not too many people will have that ability to break words down the way you may have. And that's one of the key things with a lot of people when we open up the doors to code switching. They may not identify that attribute that you just spoke on. So what is the key factor about code switching that may be so alarming to some? Is it the fact that they don't know who their identity is? They're not willing to change who they are because honestly, if they're happy with the world that they're in, they're not going to code switch for anybody else. They're going to stay in that mask, you know?
Right. And if you really think about it, the how I gained this skill a long time ago. This is before I went to college. I started listening. I started seeing why are people getting the best of me? So I now had to use my logical thinking or logical, my intelligence to my emotional intelligence. Well, first off, what am I giving away that refers to an emotion style of conversation? What refers to a third person view where I do not add a personal perception? It's just being the observer, like a reporter. Tree was brown, green leaves, da 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 da. No feeling behind it. Like, yeah, the tree was nice and girthy, and it was flowing so well with the winds. and I felt the breeze, and it was hot rain, damn it, that was coming in. So but the
Man.
point is like when I started, like I think it was about 25 years ago, or maybe even 26 years ago, when I was getting out of the Navy, I started listening to my orders. That was a big thing. When I had to pivot and decide, okay, do I continue or leave the Navy? Am I going to fall in line with this? Their orders are their orders, and I don't get a personal thought about it.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and you sign that dotted line, that's the contract. You give up kind of like rights to your life. But this is, hey, all shout out respect to men in the Navy, the Marine Corps, Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, or whatever you serve. Shout out to you guys for giving up part of your identity to serve within something that protects us or upholds us on how we live. So shout out to you guys. No disrespect. But there are times where a CO, a commanding officer, will give you an order and he really doesn't know what the hell he's doing and just made a mess of things. And then when the mess comes out and then the brass from up above him, he's trying to like, well, they didn't facilitate my order right. And it's like, and then they go to the NCO, non-commissioned officer, and say, well, you know what? I don't want to throw shade on him, but we had advised him. He took the initiative, and we're not going to disobey orders. And then it's like, are we on the same team? So then they're looking at you like, are you on my team too? The upper brass? Can I trust you? That can be translated into everyday life. I mean, your friend, like you were talking about, your friends. Your friends, we all have different styles of friends. There are some friends that are through acquaintances. There are some friends that you've had for a long time. There are cultural friends that don't mix well with others. That's a fact. I've seen it so many times. I don't, and now I've really started evaluating, what do I call you as a friend? You're either an acquaintance, an ally. If you ask me, I'll be blunt with you, but it's not convenient. And I'll tell you, it's like, hey, look, maybe the way that your beliefs are don't align really with me. So it puts me in a questionable state. And if it's in that questionable state, look, there are things I will run with you on. And there are definitely things I don't. And that's where friendship kind of gets kind of twisted, because do you always trust everything that your friend does? Do you always back it up? I don't. There's not everything my friends do that I can get behind. Is that a code switch? No, it's not a code switch, because I trust myself for my own experience and better judgment that this presents a risk or something I can't get behind. And how many times have you guys had to deal with it? Cyber, what about you? Like, how many do you have different classes of friends that you've had to like, I need to talk a little differently to them than I do to some others?
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. The majority of my friends don't even stay in the same state. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends from 30 years ago that we talk to each other twice a week. Then I got people that I know within a 3 mile radius that I haven't talked to in years. You know what I'm saying? Due to the simple fact that the conversation that we're going to have is not like, what are you talking about? Basically a code switch. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what the topic is or what we're talking about. Like, I can't really talk to this guy about this situation due to the simple fact he's going to code switch on me. Now, I can call one of my homeboys in Virginia. Boom, yo, what do you think about this? He going to lay it down. Yo, check this out, man. That's a calculated risk that you're taking. That's a stupid idea. If I was you, I wouldn't do that. But it's your decision. Now, I could talk to the guy down the street 3 miles away, be like, yo, what you think about this situation? I don't know what you think about the situation. Go ahead. So you're answering my question with a question. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it reminds me of that Disney cartoon Robin Hood, where the three buzzards are sitting on a branch. So, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Oh man, you went way back with that one.
And then it's like nothing. And just like you staying there, you're not doing nothing.
And that's something that I find interesting too. Like, a lot of people don't have friends from high school, or so they say. You know what I'm saying? Like, my main 4 friends, excluding you two, great gentlemen right there, that I talk to. I'm serious, man. I talk to them like twice a week, and we haven't seen each other in like years, like a couple of decades. You know what I'm saying? And the people, like I said, within a 3 mile, 10 mile radius, I'll see them like once every other year, or even hear from them.
It's crazy how close you can be to somebody, and yet so far. But the further away somebody is, the closer you seem to be. It's it's a backwards. It's flip on psychology, and that's one of the power struggles that I think as people in no matter the Americas or the European or in Africa or in China or Russia or Ukraine, doesn't matter. I think that there's a point where we as people start understanding there is something to be had here with the conversation. Now, how that conversation is described and detailed solely responds to the person's perception. I've said this before, I'll keep saying it again. It's all about perception. So when I end up meeting individuals who are strong enough to stand on their footing alone, those are the kind of individuals that I rock with. Now, you can be flip flop, you can have Crocs on, I don't care, but I'm a sneaker guy. I like to lace up my dreams and my world the best way that I can because when I'm running, I don't want to fall out of my situation. I want to keep them going. If I got to hop a fence, which is a burden, aka metaphorical burden, I'm gonna be hopping that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you feel a little old trying to hop a fence?
Hey, if I gotta get it, my body's gonna hurt afterwards. You feel
You're
me?
like, oh, you got that adrenaline going, like, oh, oh, here we go. Damn,
Yeah,
I never felt that muscle. It's been a long time.
What's
I
that? What's
feel the
that
same
muscle
way, man.
called?
My right cheek, it's strained. I need to. My
Look,
booty don't flex no more like it did when I was 17. Okay,
bro, I'm in
I
the
ripped
mirror
my
every
shirt,
morning
my
flexing my
pants.
booty, boy.
Man, I spent $100 on these pair of clothes.
Look, I'm making sure that muscle don't go out because my girl love that muscle, man. So I got to make sure that shit works at a functioning rate, man. So
Right.
The no show flex zone.
no
Yeah.
flex
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's amazing that people are exclusive, right? They have the rights to this information. They know what to do with it. And like we discussed, my biggest takeaway from all this is that I'm an outcast, right? I'm a rebel slash person who sees the divide, and I prefer to be that way, right? I cannot fit in. I have not been able to fit in into a lot of these jobs, man. The longest job I've ever held down was about 7 to 8 years. And that's because I was at a time where I didn't have my kids. I wasn't thinking the way I've been thinking. And I was just going to work as a normal dude, just thinking that making this money, going to college was going to get me where I needed to get. And then when I realized these jobs ain't paying me shit, I'm working my ass off. And if I overwork myself, they're going to give me 20 cents to 25 if in a yearly raise. And I just looked at my value over their productions. So when I see that who I am stands more of a stronger um, emphasis on the world, my dreams are always to keep that level on the next plateau. So I cannot see myself going back. Now, if it comes to hard times where everything just is gone, I will have to code switch. Right? I'm gonna have to change everything I
Okay.
just said and go right back, just because there might be things that are more unobtainable at that moment. Not saying it will never happen, but for that current moment, it's just not obtainable. So I have to find ways to obtain that next plateau. So for those who are willing to stay in their own situation, just just learn to not be too comfortable, right? Code switch that and
And
learn
be around people that don't. I
exactly.
don't just be around people you just get along with. Be with people that, yeah. One thing I was reading in Ray Dalio's book Principles, he was saying surround yourself in business with people that make you uncomfortable as well as comfortable. You need to mix your company up. The people, if you can hear someone who objects to you, you know, that wants a general purpose, a common goal, then that's great. But if you're around people that just always talking smack to you and making you doubt, then okay, no, I don't want those people. But I want the people to give me consideration that, maybe I am doing something wrong, or yo, Jay, it's not, you got to cut that out. No, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
if you're not willing to surround yourself with people that have an objective view versus subjective view on you, I think you're going to have a lot of misery, and you got to work on those things that
Wow.
really make you, because what do we say? I am my brother's keeper. That doesn't mean just blood. It means you could be your close friends, who counsel you in anything. And so how code switching, just like when we kind of talked about in controlling factors had a lot. I mean, if you really think about it and you go back to that episode, you think about what controls your life, you are going to have to code switch in how you deliver your package, your presence, your verbiage, and how you receive their behavior. A friend of mine, close friend of mine, was telling me in corporate, she's always taking the things from her manager so personal. But everything that she told me was not personal. It was like, look, step up and set aside your emotions to it, because you know what you're not hearing is the opportunity for you to develop better. And then she ended up
Okay.
telling me, she's like, you know what, you're right. I'm too attached to my feelings because I put so much, but then I don't. And I'm like, well, if you're constantly in a vague tense and not an affirmative or or unaffirmative, then what do you got? Like, it's okay to say no or reject something, saying, look, I reject on these principles or I accept on these principles. And I'm trying to work through with what you're delivering.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more difficult for those who are in those material sheathing personalities, right? Those exterior outlets where I'm wearing a business suit. It's a little different for those people to think like that, because the no's and the yeses aren't easily pushed off, because you want to put on that face for the company in some light,
Mhm.
right? You still want to be recognized employee of the month, right? You want these things to come onto your resume as an accolades, like, yo, this person when working for me exhibited point A, point B, point C, and all high rankings, right? They want that. So for that person to think like a yes man, it's more easily accepted in that employment or in that code switch, only because that realm is paying bills. It's getting them on vacation. It's got
Mhm.
401k. It's also got a dental plan with some eyes as well. So it's keeping them to a certain extent healthy. And
Mm.
if that's a form of health, they're not going to code switch. They're not going to be, no, I'm not doing that. No, you can forget me on that. They're going to be, yeah, okay, for sure.
So I got a question for that then. So would you see that certain pieces of our language like really make us guess, like, and or makes us take too much caution? Like if someone said you're a narcissist, right? Let's just use the word narcissist.
Mm,
And people pass around, oh, you're being narcissistic. No, I'm just pissing you off right now. I'm not getting along with you. I don't agree with your vibe. Like, what the hell? Like, no, I'm not a narcissist. How dare you accuse me of that? If you are they qualified to say that? Or, here's another word, algorithm. Everything that affects YouTube, our podcasts, the way that we're distributed, if the word algorithm comes in, it's the mathematical equation that predicts or produces an outcome of attention. And
mm,
so when we look at that, people, I've heard so many media strategists, it's not in the algorithm. You've got to post three different types of content a day. And you're like, if I do what you do, I copycat everyone else. Though you may have some merit, the switch is I need to also involve my own creativity and the timing that I choose, not because I have to. Because no one gets behind someone that's doing what everyone else does all the time, you know? And some people
right.
make it big and some people don't. So, I can't get behind somebody who's always like, if you say like you got 1 million followers, but only maybe 500 come in to see you, well, that's a big percentage difference. You've got 1 million followers, but only 500 people come in. That's a lot of people. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but where do you draw the line? You know,
Mm,
like
see,
me, I watch Cyber's. I watch Cyber's recordings. He sends me a link. Yo, check out my YouTube. Gives me a shout out on Twitter. I check it out recorded. I may not be able to check it out live, but to me, I look at the creative difference from me and him, or even show when you do your independent stuff. We
No
all
doubt.
do. We I appreciate the creativity and other artists, but I'm not here to copy you. We come together, we're painting this picture for the public, and we're not making thousands or millions of dollars.
Yet.
Yet.
It's going to come, but and it's coming soon, but I'm telling you, we're working on the craft and making the experience of blank canvas to be something we are proud of, we're fulfilled, and people come in and enjoy, and they can be involved with.
So my whole value from this is knowing if I'm willing to change who I am for the betterment of external forces. If there
Mm.
are people out there who see me and expect to see me as they do, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to keep the foothold in my stance that much more solid in foundation if I feel this cracking in the foundation, right? My whole attribute is the development of foreseeing my future self and the best me possible. Now, does that make me a narcissist? I
Absolutely.
don't. You were thinking what
No,
I was
no.
not thinking, but I was thinking. Yeah, but
Oh,
I mean
You're saying you're going against the grain.
that's what I'm trying to figure out right now as far as just personal development, right? I could be a narcissist in some ways. Maybe you could be as well. That might be the next show we have Tuesday for each and every one of y'all. But the whole understanding is, how are we able to develop this character that the world wants to see?
Yep. It's But they never know. They never know until you tune in live or tune into recorded. So you got to change. You got to be around for the next chapter.
That's
You
right.
know, and that's just it. Like what we bring to the stage. A lot. I'm sure a lot of people do discuss. They discuss it in Clubhouse. They discuss it in stereo. All the different audio platforms. But it's really going to be up to you how you're going to receive it too. Like, because like there are times, like for example, I eliminated bad behavior. I was on Clubhouse and a lot of my drives. I took it off my phone. The only way I'm going to put it on is on my desktop. If I'm here for a couple hours, cool. I'm not going to stay up on it all day to have it in the background. I need to have clarity in my thoughts so that I'm not changing what I say because I'm offending somebody. I'm looking at the perspective, you know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also, yeah, it's just it. So it's coming to a close on our show, and I just want to say thank you all who've tuned into Blank Canvas on any of the YouTube platforms, Twitch, Twitter, whatever you want. We appreciate you all. Make sure that you tune in. What is it? Our 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. or wait, no, 10 a.m. Excuse me, Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Mountain Central for Blank Canvas. And every Saturday, usually we come on about 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific, and that's 11 Eastern. So make sure that you're able to tune into any of our platforms or this one specifically, what you're watching, and share with a friend. What are your final closing thoughts, Cyber?
yo, first and foremost, man, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate both of you guys. And shout out to everybody who came in, you know what I'm saying, to check us out. And once again, I'll be here next Saturday again. And I'll be checking you guys out on Tuesday when I'm at work.
And Mr. No Show, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts. I have no thoughts. I just have expressions. Tune in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Ooh.
You miss out. Make sure, yeah, you share, subscribe, and like. If you share with friends, the more our message gets out, and it's free. We're not collecting, entrance fees yet, but there
Yet.
will be maybe.
Yeah, sure.
So, final thoughts on code switching. Code switching. It's something to be cautionary of every day. Your conversation and what you listen to. That's my sum.
Mm. Make sure you recognize that you are the code and understand what you're switching into.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to bring to a close. Thank you so much for tuning in to Blank Canvas in the morning, Saturdays. What is it? 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Mountain Central. Make sure you check back with us on Tuesday, also 7 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. We'll see you all. Take care.